Okay, I am going to press the record button so that I don't forget any of this stuff. All right, welcome everybody. Please excuse the blank screen while I'm talking. Unfortunately, the speakers on my computer aren't working, so I'm dialed in. I want to thank you all for taking time out of your day from all over the world to join us on this webinar. So many of you have asked for a way to get your products from your OA sources in the U.S. to a prep and ship company, and I have been blessed to work with Nathan for the last almost 1 year. And when he said to me he's opening up his doors and taking on new clients, I jumped at the opportunity to introduce Nathan to all of you. So, Nathan, without further ado, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So, sometimes I talk quickly, and I don't mean to, but it is my tendency. So I apologize if I do that. We'll start off with the good stuff. I am married. I've been with my wife for 28 years. We have 2 kids, both boys, aged 20 and 17, and they both we all work together in our family business at the Prep Center. I have been an Amazon seller since May of 2005. So it has been nearly 15 years that I've been selling on Amazon. So very little Amazon does surprises me anymore. I had a job in corporate America, worked at a desk with a headset on every day, and they outsourced my work to India. So I was part of a corporate downsizing program. But fortunately for me, I saw the handwriting on the wall, and I started looking at other ways to make a living. And I stopped at a garage sale on the way home one day, and I grabbed a copy of the Lord of the Rings trilogy book set for $1. And I listed it on Amazon that night when I got home, and I sold it for $12 while I was eating dinner that same day. And I was immediately hooked. It's crazy how that worked. At that point, I decided that I was going to focus on growing my Amazon business, and I became a very major book dealer. And I sold used books on Amazon through all of 2016. So from 2005 to 2016, all I sold was books, primarily nothing else. At one point, I was doing nearly $300,000 to $400,000 a year in books by myself. Most of it was merchant fulfilled, and then all of a sudden I started FBA. And that's when really things began to change. So that's kind of what happened. That's my Amazon story. After 2016, with FBA, I realized that Amazon was much bigger than just books. It was actually, you could do a lot of other stuff on there. So I did some RA, I did some OA, I did some wholesale. I never really got into private label very much personally. And then I had some health issues with my legs that prevented me from lifting anymore. And anybody that's ever sold books or dealt with books knows that they are not light. So I could not lift and carry the 45, 50-pound boxes of books around anymore without significant effort on my end. So that's how the Prep Center came around. I decided that I was going to actually use Amazon. The leverage there, the knowledge base that I had there, everything I'd been doing, I was going to find another way to make that work for me. So in February of 2017, we started the Prep Center, and I reached out to a handful of people, and I asked them, can I prep your items for free while I figure out exactly how this works? And most people jumped on that and said, absolutely, we'll let you do that. And then we worked through all the kinks. We did all the beta testing, and then over the course of the next couple of months, the website was designed, and then we just kind of grew from there.
Wonderful. So are you still selling on Amazon?
No. Well, that's kind of a trick question. So the answer to that is no. I do not sell anymore. I do not add any additional inventory to my Amazon account. I do still have an active Amazon sellers account. Like I said, my account has been open since 2005. I am ungated in almost everything, and I have daily payouts. So I'm not willing to give that account up, but I just don't use it anymore. I don't have to. The prep center is doing really well, so I don't have to. But you never know what the future holds, so I'm just not willing to close that. You work really hard to get that.
Yes, you do. It's not easy. Oh. Sorry, can you hear me now?
I can. We're good. As a follow-up to the question of do I still sell on Amazon, a lot of sellers are afraid of a prep center that actually has an Amazon seller, which that's rightfully so. That's a fair concern. We offer a non-compete, non-disclosure clause to all of our clients, and I'll sign one for anything, no matter what it is that people sell. And anything that I sign for the business, all of my employees will also sign that as well. We have no interest in cherry picking ideas. You guys work very, very hard for what you do, and I'm not looking to do that. So we offer lots of protections for that.
Oh, that's amazing.
Okay.
I'm getting an echo now. Sorry. We don't often hear people.
1 host and 10 participants in this conference. Please announce yourself.
Somebody's joining.
Just in case you didn't know who I was, I am announcing myself again.
Right.
And suddenly I've disappeared from the screen, it appears. So I was going to say there's not a lot of prep centers that will offer. Sorry. Can you get to hit the microphone button and mute the background noise? I agree. Thank you, Vicki. So, not sure why I'm getting an echo now. There's not a lot of prep centers out there that will give the non-compete. So thank you for that.
Yeah. To kind of piggyback on the first two questions. So we decided when we first started the prep center that this was something that we were going to be servants. We're here to help your business. That's what you're hiring us for. So we decided that we don't want to actually be your competition. That's not our job. There's quite a bit of feedback in the background there, so I'm kind of waiting.
People should put themselves in mute if they're not speaking, right? Try that.
I can't hear you. I can see your mouth moving.
It's not my computer or my phone.
I heard that.
I unmuted my phone, and now I'm getting an echo, and I can't seem to mute my computer speakers.
Okay, because you have to talk to them.
How about now?
A lot better.
Yes.
What's
Not
that?
better?
Is it pause that
Okay.
and what's
I
that?
can't.
I don't know what I did differently, but something happened.
So,
Sorry.
So your wish came true.
What?
yeah,
I'm
we
not going to dinner
we
tomorrow.
decided that we're not in this for competitive reasons. So there's no reason why we wouldn't offer a non-compete clause. I don't like to talk discouragingly about other businesses, but
It's the power of positivity, but
It's going crazy.
it is.
Sorry.
Yeah. Surprisingly, though, we actually have very few clients, take us up on that. The offer stands, though. It's not a problem. Anybody that wants one will offer one.
Excellent. That's great news. Thank you. we're hearing so many rumors. It doesn't matter what Facebook group you go into. It doesn't matter who you talk to. It doesn't matter what YouTube channel you watch. There's so many people out there saying that OA and RA is dead. What are you seeing from your side, Nick?
It is absolutely not dead. It is alive and well. We receive literally hundreds of packages every single day from OA clients. RA is a little different at the prep center because you have to be local to us in order to bring them to us. At least logistically, that's the only thing that makes sense. You know, if you're going to package them to send them to us for RA, you might as well just send them to Amazon yourself. There's no reason to do that. But for OA, we receive packages every day from Walmart, Kohl's, Target, ThinkGeek, all these companies that everybody says, oh, well, you can't find anything there, or they won't ship to prep centers, or they won't let me buy 20 of an item. That is just simply not the experience that I see on a daily basis. I have a client that today we received 20 of a specific item from Target. Now, we all know Target is not reseller friendly, but there is no logical, reasonable reason why you need to buy 20 crock pots at the same time. Yet Target shipped them to us with no problems. I think what happens is Target and Kohl's are probably the two notorious ones. They have that policy in place to protect themselves in case a reseller is abusing them, but they want to make the sale just the same as everybody else does. So if they're selling all of their loss leaders, which is what brings people into the store, to resellers, that's where they're really kind of feel like they're losing money. That's where they don't want the reseller business. But generally speaking, if you're just buying items at Target, they don't really care, at least from what I've seen. Now, of course, that's a broad generalization, right? But it doesn't seem to be an issue. I think another thing that really causes people to think that RA and OA are dead is because it's way harder today than it used to be. There's software out there today that people use, Tactical Arbitrage as an example. Great software. There's nothing wrong with it. But what it does is it does all of the stuff that people used to do manually, and it does them for them with the click of a button. So now, because it's easier than it used to be, there's more people doing it. So there's more people doing it. There's less bargains available. Today, I might only accept a 50% rate of return on my items ranked under 30,000 in the home category. Well, that's a very niche market. And I might only see like 12 items on my TA search, where before that TA was available to everybody, I could actually go out to every site and find those. So I think that just more competition has made the business become more difficult. And I think since it's become more difficult, people think that it's dead. It's not dead. It's just not easy.
Okay.
Completely agree with that.
Makes total sense.
Makes sense.
There's quite a few people in the group that actually use the tactical arbitrage, myself included. And it definitely has become a lot more difficult to find those deals. But when you find that golden nugget, you better go get it.
What will happen with tactical arbitrage, let's just say that you set your parameters at a minimum of 35%. That's the lowest ROI I will accept, right? Well, that's great for you, but your competitor will accept 33% because they use Ebates or they use some other reward program with their credit card that'll give them an extra 3 or 4%. So they're really getting that 35, but they're getting it through a combination of 2 or 3 different things. That's kind of how they can go to 30 instead of you getting your 35. So therefore they can lower their price. And then you have those that are used to a more traditional retail marketplace actually coming in, and they'll accept 10 or 12%. on an item where everybody else has always expected 30. Now they're expecting 10 or 12, and that just absolutely tanks the market on that. And typically those individuals that accept that 10 or 12, they don't fully understand the Amazon fee structure. They're not taking into account the storage fees or the shipping cost to Amazon or the ever-changing long-term storage fees and just the battle that Amazon is to us sellers. They don't fully understand that. So they'll take less thinking it's a traditional retail market, and then what happens is a lot of them will kind of fall off because they can't. It takes them a little while to realize they're not making any money, and then as they realize that, then they stop selling. But by that time, they've killed the price on these they've killed the market price on these products.
Wow. Very true. The competition is great now. It's incredible how many sellers there are,
Absolutely.
but how little they're willing to accept. I mean, I know people that will take a $1 profit if they can.
Yeah.
They will. I've got clients that as soon as they sign up with us and as soon as they send us a handful of items, I recognize that they're not going to be with us for very long.
Okay. I guess you've been in the business long enough to know.
Yeah, you can kind of see, they're buying things and they're spending $14 to make $1.50, and they're not including the prep cost in that, and they're not including the shipping cost to Amazon in that. Well, clearly, if you're going to exclude those two things, at that point alone, you're losing money.
Yes. Not to mention all the other Amazon fees.
Oh, absolutely. Those are just the easy ones I just talked about. There's way more to it than that. So, yeah, it's basically you see these things that talk about how Amazon is easy and how anybody can do it, and you can work 4 hours a week and make $1 million a year and blah blah blah. None of that is true, but the enticement of it draws people in, which their test run is what makes it more difficult for those that are serious.
Yeah. So, is there any category that you specialize in at your prep center, or is it anything is welcome? What kind of products can folks send in to you that you'll prep?
We will prep anything that Amazon will receive. So the oddest item that we've ever prepped is a 14-foot fishing pole. That's, a 14-foot fishing pole.
Didn't fold?
No, it's a 14-foot fishing pole. It was insane. And how do you prep that? I mean, that's weird. And fortunately, it came in a 14.5-foot box, so we were able to do that. But yeah, it's anything that Amazon will sell, we will prep. We don't have any real restrictions. We don't necessarily like hazmat items, but not everybody is ungated in hazmat, so generally that's not a problem. I don't really care for chemicals too much. Safety issues, obviously, for that. But those are like very minuscule markets. That's not a big problem. And if a client is actually going to get into that marketplace, then we'll talk about it, and we'll talk through the specifics of exactly how we're going to do that. I've yet to turn away something that somebody wanted to sell, just because it's hard enough to find products, let alone have the prep center tell you, no, we don't want it. That's not my job.
Okay.
My job as your employee, which is what we are, is to do what you ask us to do, and that's to prep the items that you buy. So we generally will do that with no problems. Something we specialize in, we decided we wanted to be known as the bundle prep center. When we started our research, we found a lot of prep centers are not bundle friendly because bundles are very difficult. And I'm not talking multi-packs here. There's a difference between a bundle and a multi-pack. So just to be clear, a multi-pack is 2 jars of peanut butter. A bundle is a jar of peanut butter and a jar of jelly, right?
Okay.
So they're 2 completely different items that go together, where a multi-pack is 2 of the exact same items that go together. That's Amazon's definition of those 2. Multi-packs are easy. That's not a problem. But the bundles are hard, especially when you start dealing with wholesale bundlers. You might be able to buy. You ever buy hot dogs at the store? They come in packages of 8 or 10, but the hot dogs come in packages of 10. You know, so you see this. My numbers are right. I think hot dogs are 10, buns are 8. So what do you do with the 2 extra hot dogs, right? Well, you find a quantity that works. So you buy, 60 of them instead of just 1 of each. But that gives you way deeper in the product that you intended to go, because you had to buy, I don't even know, let's say 40. You had to buy 5 packs of 8 of one and 4 packs of 10 of the other. But then they only had 2 packs of 10 in stock. So now you got 40 hot dogs and only 20 buns, and you got to wait a month and a half for the other buns to come in because they're not in stock. And that's why prep centers don't like to deal with those things, because it's a process. You have to hold the inventory. You have to store the inventory. You have to take responsibility for the inventory. You have to put it together correctly. It's not easy. And most prep centers, along with most people, they want the path of least resistance. They want the easiest stuff first. And that's human nature, and there's no problems with that. So we decided to carve a niche out in the bundle area because that's the one that really nobody else was willing to spend the time and effort on.
Awesome. So what kind of turnaround time can we expect from anything we ship into you, Nate?
Yeah, so what we do is our UPS, FedEx drivers, they show up at about 10 o'clock in the morning. We're Eastern Standard Time. They're usually there by 10 or 11 at the latest, depending on weather, road conditions, whatever. And our stated website goal, so we have 24 to 48 hours to receive the item, get it prepped out, and out the door. So today being Thursday, right? Roll my eyes thinking it's Thursday? All right. Today being Thursday, when it was dropped off, we would love to have it available for pickup for the Friday UPS pickup. So that's the 1-day turnaround goal. The worst case scenario that we have is it does take 48 hours, and in this case it wouldn't be available until the Monday pickup, because everything ships UPS ground, and UPS ground doesn't run on the weekends. So 24 to 48 hours. If it's a time-sensitive thing, and we've had this conversation with some clients, listen, this thing is hot, and it's selling super fast, and I really need to get this in as quick as I possibly can, we can even get it out same day. And that's just a customer service thing that we offer. We pride ourselves on relationships at our prep center, or my prep center. There's a reason it's called my prep center. I want clients to talk about it like it is their prep center. So when you're referring to it, you're not using, whoever, I'm not going to say any other names, you're actually using my prep center. And that's how we want it. We want you to have a sense of ownership. So when you have something that you want to get out quickly, you can just ask me, hey, is there any way you can make this happen today? If it's 5 or 10 or 20 of something, yeah, probably. It won't be a big problem. Now, if everything is a priority, well, then that's a little bit different story. But occasionally, we can even get it out same day.
Awesome. Okay. What happens if... Oh, I'm getting an echo again. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. So what happens if I have an order that comes in for about 500 units, and I say, Nate, I only want you to ship out 50 at a time, 50 this week, 50 in 2 weeks. Is that something that you guys can handle?
I'm going to respectfully say no.
Okay.
And the reason why, there's a couple of reasons. The first one is we're just simply not set up for that. Our warehouse is about 4,000 to 4,500 square feet, so it's not small, but it's also not huge. We don't have a lot of storage room. We're just not designed for that. The longer the item actually stays with me, the more liability I have. So The products, when they're in our warehouse, they're insured for theft, fire, water damage, everything that they're supposed to be. So there's risk on my end to hold it. And then we also get into a space concern. We all know that Amazon just recently added the new monthly long-term storage fees. Now, these are multi-million square foot warehouses with literally hundreds of them across the United States and Canada. And they're charging extra because their warehouses are full. So we decided we're not even going to try to compete. If Amazon runs out of room because people send them too much stuff, we are most certainly going to run out of room. And we just didn't want to get into that spot. The second thing is, and to me this is kind of how I will say sell it a little bit more than no, I don't want to hold it, is you bought the product because it will sell. So why do you have it sitting in a warehouse where it's not available in the marketplace? You need to get it in Amazon's warehouse. Their storage fees are so insanely cheap. Even during October, November, December, when they raise them, they're still not crazy expensive. I know we can argue that because it can be expensive. I get it. But what you get, it's really, really, really cheap. So you might as well have it sit in the marketplace where it actually is available for sale, whether it be through Amazon or even eBay or Shopify or Etsy or whatever else you use, your own personal website, using their multi-channel fulfillment. So you might as well try to put it to use rather than have it sit in a box in my warehouse where there's literally no chance of it selling.
Yeah, it's just thinking more along the lines of people who order wholesale.
Yeah.
And
now,
have to buy certain quantities.
Yeah, no, and there's some options here. If we're talking about cell phone cases, sure, I mean, a couple of boxes on a shelf, that's not going to be a problem. We'll work through that. If we're talking about Tonka trucks that are 24 inches long and 18 inches high, and they weigh 12 pounds apiece, and you got 400 of them coming in, that's a bigger deal. That's the one where I struggle with. We just simply don't have the storage space for that.
Makes sense. Okay. Now, you mentioned Etsy and eBay and Shopify, their own websites. Do you do merchant fulfilled for your customer?
How's that for an answer? So, as a general rule, the answer is no. We've tried it twice. The first time we tried it, we were way too young in our processes to be able to handle the workload. And remember, my goal is to help your business be successful. That's what we're here for. And so when I can't perform my end of a merchant-fulfilled shipping obligation, then I need to say I can't do it, and therefore I say no. I know that that's not where we're great yet, so I'm not willing to do something at a mediocre level. So until I can be great at it, I'm not ready. We've tried it, and it didn't go great, and clients were fine. They were okay, willing to work with us, but we weren't ready to perform at an excellent level yet. So it is on our radar. It is a highly important thing that we're looking at because we get this question, I would say, 10 times a week. I think it's something that I know it's something that I personally want to do. There's some logistics of how to exactly make that work. However, let's say that you buy something that wasn't. An example of this is we're familiar with, as sellers, we're familiar with JoJo Siwa and her products. She's a Nickelodeon kid TV show thing. So she's got the hair bows and the makeup and that kind of stuff. So you buy some craft set that has nail in it, and you scan it in the store. It looks great. You buy it. You bring it home, or you buy it wholesale. You send it to us, no problems. But then all of a sudden, Amazon, once you've ordered it wholesale, therefore you can't return it, Amazon decided that it's hazmat. and they won't receive it in their warehouse because you're not hazmat eligible. Now you got 35 copies to this thing. You don't know what to do with it. Yes, we'll merchant fulfill those.
Okay.
You know, but you've already bought them. You're stuck with them. Things changed in the process. You didn't do it intentionally. We're not looking to, you know, harm you and say, "Oh, sorry, we're going to ship them back to you at double the cost." You know, it's a mistake, and Amazon changed the rules on you because that's what Amazon does. Now we have to adjust and pivot. So we have the capability in a pinch. We're not great at it yet.
Okay. It sounds like there's future for that, though.
I believe that is the future. And I believe we all know, and I hate to talk like this, but we all know that someday Amazon will not be the best place in the market. We know that. I mean, you have to be aware of that. Businesses change. So as you pivot from Amazon to what's next, we all know online buying isn't going anywhere. No, anytime soon. There will always be people going to buy in stores. I'm sorry, to buy online, not going to stores. Let's figure out how to serve that marketplace once Amazon FBA is no longer the best option. I don't want to be an FBA prep center and 100% based on that because things change. So when FBA decides to go down, Jeff Bezos just got a divorce, right? What happens if the judge decided that they're going to break up Amazon because they both get half? You know, clearly that's obviously an exaggeration, but what happens if?
Well, we're already starting to see the pendulum swing from FBA to FBM.
Right. Yeah, because Amazon's having a hard time keeping up with the demand, and they're running out of space in their warehouse. And, you know, I mean, they love the money that we give them in the fees, but they're still limited. And yes, they're the biggest company in the world, but they're still limited.
Very true. So when you're prepping, do you follow the Amazon guidelines? So, for example, if somebody sends you in glass products, do you do a drop test for those products? How do you handle those?
So, Amazon is like this giant behemoth that has a million rules. And anytime you have that many rules, there's going to be contradictions in those rules, right? We've all seen these. It's just the way it is. So we do our absolute best to always follow the letter of the law on Amazon's terms of service. That's the answer to that question. Now let's talk real world. Because it happens, right? An example of this is if you look at there's a label that we call the Suffocation Label. That you have to put on the bag. Now, Amazon's rule is very clear in this. If the bag is larger than 6 inches, if the gap is larger than 6 inches, the product needs this label. If it's smaller than 6 inches, it does not need this label. What do you do with a 6-inch bag?
I label all mine.
Agreed. Agreed. But those are the kind of like little idiosyncrasies that Amazon has. 6 inches, or larger than 6, it requires it. Less than 6 doesn't, but not 6. So in that case, we always err on the side of caution. We always put the label on. So there's those little idiosyncrasies there. This is where me being the experienced Amazon seller comes into play. Like, logic dictates exactly how you prep things. And so since we've seen and we've touched and we've actually dealt with all of these products before, we absolutely understand how they're supposed to be prepped. You mentioned the drop test. So for those that may not be aware of exactly what that is, Amazon says that you have to prep your items so that it's give me 2 seconds to think exactly how this goes. It has to be able to withstand a 3-foot drop on 3 different occasions on concrete and not break. That's the Amazon drop test. And that's that's good. If it can withstand that, then it's pretty much going to be able to withstand just about anything. 'Cause that's a lot, especially for like a coffee mug or whatever. But yes, so what we'll do, like as the coffee mug is the example, we'll bubble wrap that with with the small bubble wrap first to give it that protection, and then we'll use the bigger wrap, which kind of gives it that bounce protection. And we'll take especially care of the handle to make sure the handle, because that's like the weak point in a coffee mug. That's how we'll do those. We'll also do them like private label coffee mugs. Sometimes people will provide their own box with their own interior, like styrofoam or whatever inside of it. We'll also do that. We'll go the extra mile and put a layer of bubble wrap on the outside of that as well. And then finally, when items are very fragile, we'll actually put them inside of a box and not just trust that the bubble wrap is going to take care of it. So we'll use, like, let's say you have a vintage clock or something like that you want to sell. We'll actually make sure that we use dunnage inside of the box to prevent the item from shifting around as the box moves throughout the process. We'll put product inside of that to protect that, in addition to the regular bubble wrap.
Awesome.
So, yeah, to answer your question, yes.
So, what kind of volumes can your team handle? I mean, we just went through Q4.
Right.
And you must have been overwhelmed by the volume. So, what kind of volumes can you guys handle? Like, if you're taking on new clients, I'm guessing you have capacity, but at what point do you say we've reached max capacity?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know when we'll reach max capacity. I know we're not anywhere near close, to be honest. Okay. We currently have 14 people that work for us. That includes my wife, myself, and my two boys. So there's 10 other non-family member employees. They all work about an average of 20 hours a week, and they've generally all expressed interest in working more hours full time. And so as they want more hours, then I bring on more clients, which gives us more work to get them more hours. So I don't have a problem finding good employees, and we put them through, rigid training, making sure that they're, going to be able to handle the workload that comes in. So absolutely, we can handle more business, and I don't see anything happening anytime soon that would stop that from happening. Give you a specific example of how things worked with us. In August, we signed on a client. So he calls me up, and we'll talk through the process, get him set up, and he says, now, I want you to understand that I'm a fairly large seller. And I'm like, oh, yeah, no problems. We got it. We're good. We handle large sellers all the time. That was the wrong answer. The correct answer to that question should have been, how large a seller are you? So I learned very quickly when we received 9 pallets worth of stuff in a single day that he was a large seller. So that's what caused us to be able to have as many people as we had. We were working with a lesser staff than that, but now we've actually hired on some more people, more part-timers with the opportunity of having a full-time employee so we can actually get stuff out. And as long as, when you're a client and you let me know, I doubt someone is going to actually sign up and blindside us with 9 pallets. They're going to actually tell us. They're going to be sending us a lot. And with a couple of days' notice, I can have all of my employees available full-time.
Wonderful. Okay. Are you allowed to name drop or mention any of your big clients that you deal with?
I am. One of the things, I'm going to plug my website right now. It's called myprepcenter.com. And center, I know we spell it wrong. It is CENTER. So I just had to put that out there because if you spell it, the Canadian way, the correct way, the Canadian way, you won't find it.
Okay.
So one of the things we're doing is we're updating our website with the testimonial section, and that should be done within a week or so. And so I've got some clients. I don't usually name drop, but you specifically asked, so I'm going to. Our 2 biggest clients, and thanks to these girls, the Prep Center actually exists, and they're amazing women, are Kristen Ostrander and Amy Fearman from Mommy Income. We are their exclusive prep center, and we are the only authorized prep center in the Mommy Income Facebook group. So that to us is a big deal. I have known Kristen for 6 or 7 years. We have been friends for probably 2. And after my friendship with Kristen started, that's when she introduced me to Amy. Amy was the first one to jump on board with us full time. Kristen had some help in house that she was able to use, but ever since then, ever since probably October of 2017, we now prep everything for both Kristen and Amy. They no longer even do any in-house prepping, at least to my knowledge. They tell me they don't. We prep everything for them. So we're very happy to have them. They are probably our highest volume clients consistently. And another person that Kristen introduced us to, and we are one of his prep centers, is Stephen Smotherman from Full-Time FBA. He is also our client, and he did a very nice write-up on us, one of his blog posts about prep centers, which was awesome. Stephen does a healthy mix of RA and OA and wholesale. His RA business is obviously local to home because he's in Texas, so we don't get a lot of that. But the OA and the wholesale items we do get to prep for him. And those, they know who I am. We're friends probably isn't the right word, business partners. But absolutely, people can learn more about us by asking any of them.
Well, I happen to be at the right place at the right time. I met Amy and Kristen, and they're the ones that referred me to you. So I never looked back. So I thank them for that tremendously. Do you have any specific requirements that are a must when you're taking on new clients?
So I don't like the word must, but yes. So we've got some things that we're really, really, really going to strongly encourage. How about that? Okay. Inventory lab. That is very important. Probably the single most important thing is that. Now, let me be clear. I don't work for Inventory Lab. I don't have an affiliate with Inventory Lab. I don't get a cut from Inventory Lab. I just really, really, really like their software, and I think it does. I think it does an amazing job. And our employees are also trained on that, and it's so much easier to list using that software than it is to use the Amazon Seller Central platform. So if you're going to use us and you're going to sell a lot, whatever that means, we're going to strongly encourage Inventory Lab. Almost a requirement, but not necessarily, but kind of is. I guess I hope that makes sense. We really want you to use that. We're open to other tools as well. Not a problem there. But Inventory Lab's the best one on the market, and to me, my opinion, they're the best one on the market. We've also had recently a change of heart a little bit. So when we first started, I was willing to accept any size seller because everybody's small and everybody is getting a start somewhere. But what happened was I found many people would call us, would walk through the sign-up process, but then would never follow through on what it is that they said they were going to do. So what we've had to do, especially during Q4 when it gets really crazy, we've actually had to implement a 50-unit minimum. Now, that 50 unit is not strictly enforced. It's there simply to protect myself so I don't spend an hour talking to somebody, signing them up to a process, because we don't charge a setup fee. Okay. So, that's a big thing. A lot of prep centers do. It's a couple $100 to sign up because, it takes time to do that. We don't do that. We make our money on our actually prepping services. So what I need to do is make sure that you're actually going to be interested and serious about being an Amazon seller before. And that 50-unit minimum kind of eliminates some of the people that are like, well, let me try this. I think I might want to give it a shot and see if I like it. That's great. We'd love you to do it, but you probably should prep your own stuff at first to see if that's something. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So is that 50-unit perpetual or one time?
No, like I said, that's a soft limit. When we walk you through the setup process, I'm going to ask you some probing questions, and what's going to happen is I'm going to learn a lot more about your business. So if you are like, you got a daytime job that you hate and you're trying to figure out exactly what you want to do and you're looking to go buy 30 or something, that'll be fine. I'm not worried about that. The goal is, are you really interested in doing this, or are you just kind of throwing something at the wall and see if it'll stick?
Okay.
So,
you want serious people.
Yeah, so it's not a perpetual, it's not even a hardcore one-time thing. It's just are you serious? Do you really mean that you want to get this thing going? Because if you do, my time is valuable, your time is valuable. Let's work together to make the most out of this, rather than spend a couple hours walking through a setup process and then never hear from you again because you didn't send me anything.
Okay. I can appreciate that. I mean, time is precious, and you only have so much of it to go around. So
Exactly.
I can totally appreciate that you don't want to waste your time or theirs, to be honest. Okay.
Exactly. It's not just me. I mean, it's theirs as well. I mean, I love talking to people. I got no problems doing that. But, we can sit and have a cup of coffee. We don't have to talk about prepping with, if you're not serious.
Very good. Okay. I might take you up on that cup of coffee.
We will actually be in Toronto, I think fairly soon, so we may end up going to have something, yeah. Maybe an adult beverage, I'm not sure, we'll see.
You need to let me know. Maybe we can do a small little mastermind with you with the group.
Sounds fun.
Awesome. Okay. Do you have any kind of commitment requirement? So if somebody says, I'm going to use you, and they send in their 50 units and they're happy, are they tied in for any length of time? Is it mandatory they stay with you for 6 months, a year, anything like that?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We are partners. And if at any point in time I failed you, or you're just not interested anymore, that's fine. I understand. We have some clients that their product stopped selling. They were great. Things were going really well, but then somebody else jumped on their market, lowered the price, and now there's no profit there anymore. That's fine. That's Amazon. It happens. They've looked for more. They can't seem to find it. There's no possible way that I could any way enforce, nor would I want to. I wouldn't want to do business with somebody that says you can't. You have to use me for 6 months or a year or whatever. That's not a win-win relationship. That's somebody that is like, once I get you, I'm going to figure out how I can milk every dime from you that I can and use you. And that's just not how I want to do business. I'll never do business that way.
Okay. I can appreciate that too. I'll be honest, I've used 3 other prep centers, and all 3 of them have failed me miserably until I found you, Nathan. So I'm really glad that I found you. As gently as it was.
It's sad because people think this is easy, and they think selling on Amazon easy. They think prepping is easy, and they don't understand the seriousness of what they're doing. I mean, as an example, back to Kristen and Amy. I know these girls, and I know that if I make a mistake, that I get their account suspended, I just caused them a significant headache. I just caused their kids to not be able to eat and then not to be able to have gas in their car because of a stupid mistake that I made. It's really, really not fair. And prep centers that don't understand that, they give us all a bad name. We all know, and we've all dealt with businesses that treat their customers unfairly, and we all choose not to do business with them. That's just, it's a sad fact of life. At our prep center, have you ever heard of Zig Ziglar? Are you familiar with who he is?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. So, for those that don't know, Zig he's passed away now, but he was a motivational speaker from the 70s, and he was a very strong Christian man, as am I, and we're a Christian business. I make that very clear in our workings. But he had this motto, And what he said, and this is how we run our business, is there is only one way to be successful in life, and that is to help everyone you come in contact with have everything they ever wanted. And that's my goal. That's what we're trying to do. So with us, that's why we are an all-inclusive prep center. That's why we don't charge surprise fees. That's why we don't charge a setup fee. That's why we are here to help your business grow. And as your business grows, you're going to make more money. As you make more money, you're going to buy more product. As you buy more product, you're going to send us more product to prep. Therefore, we're going to make more money. That's the only way this business will be successful for the long haul.
Okay. I like that. I like that a lot. There's one motto, and the folks in the group can attest to it, that I live by, is I want to help as many people as I can. And, you know, I always ask them, if they say, what can they do for me? And I just ask them to pay it forward. Like, that's my thing. Just pay it forward as much as you can.
Servant leadership. It is so vitally missed in our society today across the globe. You know, we live in a world where respect is very tough and very hard, and especially here in the United States, if you were to get into the political battle, you see some of what's happening. And it's like, can't we just be decent to each other and treat people how we've always wanted everybody else to treat us? And we carry that over into business as well.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. If we can switch gears just a little bit.
Sure.
And I don't expect you to give me numbers, because I'm pretty sure that everything that you touch is a little bit different. But can you give us a high-level idea of what kind of fee structure there is? Like, is it, you know, per label, per box, per pound? How do you do that? How do you charge your fees?
Sure. So, like I'd mentioned before, excuse me, let me adjust my hat. I'll show you my nasty hair for a second. So what we do is we are all-inclusive. So if you've ever been to an all-inclusive resort, you pay one fee going in. You know exactly how much it's going to be no matter what you do when you get there. You budget that in. You go when you have a great time. You come back home. You're happy. You did everything you wanted. You knew exactly how much you were going to spend. That's one experience. The other experience is you pay for your plane ticket, you go there, you pay for your hotel, then you have to pay for dinner, and then you have to pay for drinks, then you have to pay. And next thing you know, you don't really realize how much money you actually spent until you get back home and look at the credit card statement. And then you're like, holy smokes, I probably shouldn't have done that. That's kind of how we set this up, is we are going to do all-inclusive. So our stated website price is $1.50 per unit for anything less than 100 units. If you're going to send me more than 100 units, then it's going to be $1.25 per unit. So what we do is we actually change that. Once you reach 100 units total, so you've been with us for a little while, we're going to charge you $1.25, even if we're only prepping 35 things for you, because now you've passed that 100 threshold. It's not all at once. It's like when you're a new customer, we charge a little bit more because we walk through a setup process. You know, it's a little bit harder to go through with somebody brand new. We have to spend more time on that, learning that exactly what it is you're looking for, exactly how things work. So we do charge a little bit more. Then when you've been with us a little while, we drop the price down to $1.25. That includes everything. That's the labels, that's the poly bags, that's the bubble wrap, that's the boxes, that's the receiving of the item, that's the inspecting. The only thing that we don't include is the actual shipment to the Amazon warehouse. That still goes to your Seller Central account, because we cannot beat that discounted rate that Amazon's negotiated with UPS. If I could beat it, I would give it to you at a better price. But that just automatically gets billed to your Seller Central account, and you're familiar with that. So we don't believe in hidden fees. Here's an example, like a concrete example of this. You find this item that you want to buy, and it costs you $10, and it sells on Amazon for $30. You run your numbers, you do your ROIs, you look at the shipping cost, and you're like, okay, I got $8 profit built into this thing. I'm going to buy 10 of them. So you're spending $100. You think you're going to make $8. It shows up at the prep center. and they're like, well, we needed 2 sheets of bubble wrap apiece, and it needed a suffocation label, and we had to use 4 boxes. So what you thought was going to be an $8 charge is actually going to be $14. Well, you just lost $6. Now, again, my examples aren't perfect. You know, I'm not saying you're going to pay that much anywhere, but the concept is you thought you were going to make X. When they started prepping it, when they finally got their hands on it, you really only made Y. And you wouldn't have bought those items had you have known that you were going to have those extra prep fees. So we definitely don't ever want somebody to do that. So $1.50 an item. Once you reach 100 items, it goes down to $1.25. That's it.
That's fair.
Yeah. Some exceptions to that would be a very, very heavy glass shipment that we get. I mean, if you're going to send me 300 coffee mugs, you know, and we have to provide all of the bubble wrap, which we're going to, of course, you know, we expect there to be a mix. Some of the items are going to be very easy. Some of them are going to be very hard, and we accept that mix. When we give up everything and only have to deal with the hard ones, we don't get any of the easy ones, then we do have to charge just a little bit more, but we'll talk about that on an individual basis.
Okay.
There's also some, we have a couple of opportunities to lower the price from the $1.25 stated price. Negotiation, you know, I like to say that I'm a greedy capitalist because we're in business to make money. That's what we're here for. I mean, that is why we all do this, is to make money. So I get it. That's what I'm here for. You're also trying to do the exact same thing, and I'm good with that. So let's find a price point that works. Are you going to send me a lot of items with most of them being easy? Sure, we can negotiate price, because if I don't have to reset everything, if I can just continue working on the same item over and over again, then my people don't have to reset. I don't have to use a whole bunch of different supplies. The time lost is not really there, so I'm able to go a little bit lower. Another thing that allows us to drop the price even a little bit more is what we offer as subscription to some people. It's not something we advertise, but once you've been with us a little while, we'll offer you a subscription. So we'll give you X amount of items, and I'll throw some concrete numbers out there. So we're $1.25. Let's say that somebody's like, listen, I want to send you 1,000 items a month, and I'll do it every single month, and I guarantee I'm going to send them to you. I'm like, okay, wow, that's great. I can offer you 95 cents a unit on that instead of $1.25 if you'll prepay me that. And the reason we ask for the prepayment is my bank really likes it when I can have a guaranteed income stream coming in. And secondly, and way more important than my bank, is my wife really likes it when I can have a guaranteed income stream coming in. So if we have the opportunity to do that, and again, we don't offer this to everybody, and it's only been with you've been with us for a little while. New clients, I don't expect you to, I haven't earned that right from you yet. So as we've been together, as you have trust built up, as we understand exactly what we're going to get from you, that's what allows me to offer you the best pricing, and that's where the subscription model comes in.
Wonderful. Okay. So, Nathan, how can folks get a hold of you if they want to sign up?
Absolutely. A couple of different ways. You can go to our website, which is myprepcenter.com. And again, center is spelled wrong, CENTER.com. You can use the contact form there. Maria, I'm having my website developer add your name to the list of contact options, so we can actually kind of keep track of exactly what's coming in there. They were on vacation. I haven't had a chance to have that added yet, but that's coming. The other option is you can just call my cell phone. I have an 800 number, but it doesn't work internationally. So I'm going to give my cell phone number here. You can call me. My number is 810, area code 358 8334. It's literally in my hand right here. My 800 number goes directly to that response, and it is the only cell phone that I carry. I will ask to be respectful. I'm on the East Coast. So if you're on the West Coast and it is 9 o'clock at night, that means it's midnight. So don't call me. I'll also honor that. I won't call you back at 9 o'clock my time, because that's 6 a.m. your time. Okay? So we live that number also has texting available, so you can always text me there at that number as well. Or you can send me a Facebook friend request, and I'll give you that information here in 1 second. And Facebook Messenger chat is a great way to get me because I can do that on my computer. I can do that on my phone. It just seems to be a great way to communicate. So, want me to type my name into the chat? Would that be easier for everybody? Okay.
Sure.
Do this here.
Should they mention guilt-free retail therapy when they're talking to you?
Absolutely. That's where the part I was mentioning. Having my website updated. So that would be great because as they mentioned that to me, we've got a deal set up for people that mention guilt-free retail therapy. What we'll do is we will actually not charge you for 25 items that we prep for you. So your first 25 items will be free.
That's awesome. Yay.
So we're just trying to get you guys on board and figure out exactly how we can help you best. I put my name in the chat there. My name is Nathan Bindschatel, and I'll spell it. It's B as in boy, I as in igloo, N as in Nancy, D as in David, S as in Sam, C as in Charlie, H as in hotel, A as in alpha, T as in Tom, E as in Edward, L as in Larry. I see you laughing there. I did. And when you find me on Facebook, my profile picture is the minions from Despicable Me.
Okay.
So go ahead and send me a Facebook friend request, and we can chat there. We don't really do much advertising. We don't really do much with our Facebook page for the Prep Center. We're busy prepping. We're just not out trying to promote. Word of mouth, we believe, is the best promotion because it actually means you're getting information from people you trust.
Wonderful. Okay, I've got some questions. If you still have time, I mean, we're almost 15 minutes over. Do you still have a few minutes?
I have as long as necessary.
Awesome. So there are a few questions. Vicki asks, do you accept unfillable returns? What is your process for that?
Yeah, so what
we
we do, we treat Amazon returns as every other vendor. So we don't get to pick where you buy your items from. So what we do is we say, let's say you buy 10 things at Target and 5 things at Kohl's and 2 Amazon returns show up. So there's 17 items grand total. That's just 17 items. That's just $1.25 at 17 items. We don't make a determination as to, we don't get to pick where you buy from. So we just treat Amazon like every other vendor out there. What we do ask is if it is a non-sellable product, I do not and will not have the responsibility for determining whether something is new or not. When it shows up to us, the expectation is that it is new. Does that make sense? So we get an item that it was an unfulfillable return because Amazon said it was. More often than not, it's still new. But every once in a while, it's not. And I don't want to say, well, we'll ship it in as used good because my used good might be different than yours.
Okay.
So we do only sell.
Would you send photographs?
Absolutely. That's all part of the Facebook Messenger process. Of course, that's where Facebook text messages, all that comes in for sure. So, and what we do is once we get them back, if it's something that you determine that, you know what, I do want that item, I can do something else with it, or I'm going to return it back where I bought it, or whatever you're going to do with it, I'll send that back to you, no problems. If you decide you don't want it, I can also donate it for you and get your receipt, or I can just throw it in the trash, whatever it is that works best.
Awesome. That's great, actually. Not a lot of people will do the donation part. They'll say either ship it back or toss it out. So the fact that you offer donation, that's awesome.
We may not be quick about that. That may take us a little while, but we will do that. Okay, cool.
The other half of Vicki's question was, when you receive the items, do you actually create the shipping plan as well, and as well as apply stickers and everything else?
Absolutely, and that's all part of why we like Inventory Lab so much. What we do is we're a full-service prep center. So the way this works is once you sign up with us, you have basically 3 jobs. Your first job is to source your product. I can't do that for you. I can't tell you what to buy, where to buy it, how much to pay for it. So you have to do that. Then we have a Google Sheet that we give access to. And so you fill that sheet out and you tell us what it is you bought and where it's coming from. So your first job is to source. Your second job is to tell us you sourced. Pretty easy so far, right?
Yep.
So everything after that, we handle. We receive it, we inspect it, we list it, we label it, we ship it, we do the shipping plans, we create the MSQs if you want us to, all of that, everything that goes in between that, we handle all of that for you. Once we've done that and it's ready to go to Amazon, we're going to send you an invoice, and that's your third job, is to pay our invoice. Once that invoice has been paid, once we know you, we've built up a rapport, we're comfortable, we have a great relationship, I'll ship your item without the invoice being paid because I know you're going to be good for it. But as we're first building that relationship, the only way I have to protect myself is to have the invoice has to be paid before I actually will release it to Amazon. But that doesn't usually take very long. Within a couple of weeks, we have good enough rapport, so we release it. And then I'll send it at 10, and I may not bill you for a couple of days because I forgot, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So, yes, you've got basically hands off. You source, you tell us what you sourced, we'll do everything else.
Wonderful. Okay, so Jackie's asking for some clarification. The 50 units is a one-time 50 unit, and then if she decides to send in 20 the next shipment and 15 the next or 30 the next, is that still acceptable for you?
Of course, absolutely. In fact, we've got clients that we've signed up ever since we put that 50 unit minimum in place that have never sent us 50 things at a time. It is strictly because you have to have some rules. So it's a rule. It can be broken. It can most certainly be bent. Not a problem. But there has to be something. So that's why it's there. Okay. So, Jackie, if you're serious and you're interested, we're here for you.
Wonderful. So I've had a couple of folks with the same question.
Sure.
Being that a lot of us have our accounts on .ca,
yep.
Inventory Lab will not recognize a Canadian account.
Okay.
Even though it's a unified account and they sell on .com, the main account is on .ca. Now,
okay.
I don't have that problem personally because I didn't have, when we opened our account, there was no such thing as a unified account. So I had a Canadian account and a U.S. account. So my Inventory Lab is fine. But for those folks that are on .ca, would you make an exception and use Seller Central or some other method?
Yes. I would like to know how they're listing today. Are they using some kind of other listing software, or are they actually going through Seller Central and using Amazon software? I'm open to other software, and I'm also fully knowledgeable on the Amazon side of it. Amazon software is just very cumbersome, very tedious, and very not user-friendly. They're great at a lot of things, but software design is not one of them. So if they're using a different platform for listing, I would be interested in learning about that. And if they're not, only through Seller Central, I would say that we would be open to it. We would be way more open to it if a lot of it were wholesale accounts or more than twosies of items. Seller Central for twosies of items is very difficult, especially once you start getting into the larger shipments of 50 to 100 items or more.
Okay, so if they were to purchase, let's say, 15 units of a doll from Walmart and 10 units of a toy car from Target, and send them over to you, is that what you're considering onesie twosie?
No, that would be absolutely fine. What I would be considering onesie-twosie is if we were going to buy, or if they're going to buy 2 of 8 different things. Give us a total of 16 units, but there's only 2 of each.
Okay. Wayne, I don't know if you're still up. I know it's almost 5 o'clock in the morning where you are right now, but are you listing through Sellers Central? Can you chime in here just so that we can give Nathan an idea of how you're actually listing? I have a couple people that are asking about Michigan. Yeah, Wayne said yes, through Sellers Central is how he's listing right now.
Yeah, and clearly we're comfortable with that. That's not a problem for us. And it's not optimal, but it's also not a problem.
Okay. Yeah, because Inventory Lab does not connect to .ca, that's the issue that most of the sellers up here have.
Yeah, and that's something that, I got to be honest, I'm learning about the Canadian marketplace and how it's a little bit different than the American marketplace. I don't have a lot of experience. I mean, obviously the .com side is very, very large as compared to the .ca side. That's where most of the business occurs. Not to say that the .ca is any less important, because it clearly is very important. But my wheelhouse, my area of expertise is on the .com side.
Okay. And most of the folks here really do want to sell on .com.
Yes.
They're successful in Canada, but are hoping to expand, or in my case, we're 95% .com.
Oh, yeah. There's way more volume on .com than .ca, so I absolutely agree. Just jump on that.
Okay. So we may have to bend your rule about Inventory Lab a little bit for these folks.
I understand. And that's not through any fault of anybody's other than Inventory Lab. Maybe we can get them to change something.
Well, I attended a webinar with them the other night, and they said they are working on other marketplaces. They didn't expand on which one, but I've heard that now for 5 years, so I don't know.
About the same time we've been hearing about the repricer they're supposed to use.
Yeah. So folks on the chat are asking about Michigan being a tax-free state.
Unfortunately, we are not a tax-free state. I wish we were. I don't like giving any more money to the government than anybody else does. Unfortunately, we are not, and that is just the reality of the situation. Now, a couple of things. Number one is if you're buying wholesale, it doesn't really matter because you're not charged sales tax anyways. So that's something that really kind of can be overlooked for wholesale buyers. But if you are an OA buyer and you are dealing with sales tax issues, the upside I can give you is, yes, you're going to have to pay Michigan sales tax. It's just the way it is. What we make up for in sales tax, what we lose in sales tax, we make up for with our warehouse arrangement with Amazon. We haven't done anything to get this, to earn this. We just have it. We ship to MDW2, which is the warehouse in Chicago. It is one business travel day away. So we ship it on a Thursday. It arrives there on a Friday, and they are amazing at receiving. It is typically available also the next business day. So it is not unheard of to ship on a Monday and have your items live and available on the website by Wednesday. And if that does actually happen, and again, remember, that is not within my control, that is just our normal experience with them, that is well worth the 6% sales tax you pay.
That's wonderful. I know there's also ways to circumvent that, and I'm using the wrong word, but those that have an LLC in the U.S. can get tax exempt.
Yes.
Many of the retailers they shop from, so there are ways around that.
And also, let me remind everybody that our price is negotiable.
Okay.
So we'll leave it at that.
Okay. That's awesome. I don't see any other questions. Does anybody else have any other questions before we let Nathan go? I mean, we've taken up an hour and a half of your time, for which I am extremely grateful. Everyone in the chat is saying thank you for your generous offer. They really... For us and the group, Guilt-Free Retail Therapy has enjoyed having you here. So, Nathan, thank you so much for your time, taking away time from your family, and we probably bumped into your dinner time too. But,
no problems. It's my pleasure. This is part of the business, and I don't mind. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And anybody that's interested, you can go ahead and start getting a hold of me as soon as tomorrow or whenever. I'm open to it, and just let me know.
Yeah. Guys, just remember to mention Guilt-Free Retail Therapy if you want those first 25 items for free.
Yep, that's very important. I'm not gonna remember that if you don't remind me. Remember, I'm a greedy capitalist.
I don't doubt that for a minute that you are.
I say that jokingly because in today's world that's considered a bad thing, and everybody that gets to know me realizes it's not a bad thing. It's the way of the world.
It's not a bad thing at all.
All right, guys.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All the best, and we'll be in touch soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night.